I'm Steph. I work with our Shopify agency partnership team on the West Coast in LA. And we're having a discussion today about upgrading to Shopify Plus. We have Jenica here from our sales team. Jenica, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Jenica Kynard. I'm on the merchant growth team, and I work specifically with merchants who are currently on a Shopify plan.
Awesome. So yeah, as I said, we're going to have a discussion today about upgrading to Shopify Plus. If there are any questions about upgrading or anything like that, hopefully we can have some time at the end. Otherwise, Jenica can tell you more about getting in touch with us if you need. So let's kick it off. So Jenica, talk to me and talk to the audience a little bit about the type of companies that you typically work with.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, I work with people who are currently on a Shopify platform, excluding Plus. And what I typically see is like mostly CPG, consumer packaged goods, either if they're like strictly on e-commerce, either have like a business to business side or retail on top of their e-commerce, and just omnipresent all the way around. But as far as revenue goes and size, so once their online sales reach about $80,000 a month, that's when they typically reach out to Plus or when we reach out to you. But it's been varying a lot.
Awesome. When you say omnipresent, can you elaborate a little bit more on like what that could mean or look like?
Yeah. So omnipresent means wherever you can sell. So in these days, that means Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Google, Amazon, literally anywhere where people can access your products.
Awesome. Yeah, I definitely do a lot of mobile shopping these days, and obviously on TikTok all the time. So that's really exciting to hear. Okay, so yeah. So what would be some common goals for merchants looking to upgrade, or what do you typically see in merchants kind of moving over to Shopify Plus in particular?
I would say that there are about like four main themes. The first and largest one would be automation when it comes into their day-to-day, because as they're growing and they're scaling, they might not have enough headcount to do all the daily tasks. People are wearing so many hats. So there are a few tools in Plus that can help out with automation, like Flow, Scripts, and Launchpad. People come to me and they ask specifically to talk about those different tools. But not only that, the API and integrations, you get double the API calls. So as you're scaling and you need more integrations, Shopify Plus is there to help with those automations. I would say the second big bucket in that common goals area is giving customers a seamless experience, talking about omni-channel, speed, and funnel optimization. That's a huge talk point there. I would say the largest one, though, is just growth overall. This is where they're looking to increase their conversion rates and their average order values through like upsell, cross-sell, bundlings, gift with purchase, like the list goes on. And then another huge one is international expansion, and something really exciting coming up that I'll chat a little bit about later is Shopify Markets. You can utilize expansion stores, international conversions, the custom checkout. And then finally, the last point would be the business to business aspect. People are looking to find more customers to sell to. And instead of just doing direct to consumer, business to business can be a great opportunity.
Amazing. That's so much. Just looking at some of like the tools that we have. So can you talk a little bit about like maybe a use case for using Flow or Scripts? I know you mentioned bundles or cross-sell, upsell. But what would that look like for merchants trying to use it on their experience?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I would say with Shopify Flow, that's a workflow automation tool. Say you want to notify your inventory team through Slack that one of your items is low in stock. You can automate that process. Just set it and forget it and leave it. You can also utilize it for marketing efforts if you want to do any loyalty programs by using like the Google Tag Manager to say, oh, a customer spent over $200 in their lifetime. Let's tag them with this and email them certain promotions just because of that. So I would say those are two good use cases for Shopify Flow. And you mentioned bundling. That's a great way to utilize Shopify Scripts. That utilizes Ruby coding, but there are so many templates online. Like if you don't know how to code, it's not a daunting tool to use at all. I have no experience coding and I'm able to set it up and make it myself. And Launchpad. This is huge with Black Friday, Cyber Monday coming up and utilizing all of your like omnipresent sales channels. So this is a event manager. You can pre-plan in advance. You can switch your theme, add discounts, add certain products, set it and forget it. Don't have to stay up till midnight anymore.
Yeah, no, I can imagine how that would be super helpful for merchants, especially, yeah, around Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and even just running different kinds of flash sales. I feel like some, big brands tend to do that, and that seems really useful for that. You mentioned B2B as well. Can you talk a little bit about what that experience would look like with Plus or just with Shopify in general?
Yeah. So a few years ago, Shopify, we acquired a company called Handshake, and this is helping us scale into that B2B side with a native platform that is just like a sales channel in your backend admin. As you would add Facebook or Instagram to your backend admin, you can add a wholesale channel. It's mostly like a quick order form style. If you're new to business, it's a fantastic way to get started. Since it's native, you can set it up very quickly. All of your products are already in Shopify. So it's a great way to do that. But there's another way to do business to business in Plus as well. And this is through utilizing one of the expansion stores. So if you're looking to, customize it a little bit, make it more of a unique business to business experience, you can have that route as well.
Awesome. That's so exciting. Okay, so moving on from that, when would be the best time for a merchant to upgrade or get in touch with your team?
Right. So earlier, I mentioned that typically it's around that $80,000 a month in revenue, but it depends. It's so diverse out there nowadays where people are experiencing growth and pains in their business. Some people, it's under $500,000 a year. Some people, it's past 10 million a year. So, it's just various stages, honestly. But what my team specializes in is working through that decision with the merchants. And if it's not the right time, if you're not experiencing that pain or growth yet, it's great to have that educational call with my team, and we'll be the first to let you all know if it's, maybe down the road. For a lot of people on Shopify, it's not an if they're going to upgrade, it's just when.
Right. Yeah, totally. I know that a lot of our agency partners see this a lot as well, just in working with merchants at different stages of their growth. So it's great to know that we do have a team that can help merchants when they need it, and can kind of act as an advisor around when would be a good time to upgrade. So that's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are some things, like if I'm a merchant and I'm on one of our Shopify core plans, and I am experiencing a good amount of volume and growth, what are some typical indicators that I would look for in kind of looking to make that next step in moving to Plus?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I talked about a lot of the more pain points, like you're looking for that automation because you're growing and things like that. But what indicators you can look for more specifically is rapid online sales growth. You're increasing 100% year over year. Like I talk to companies like that all the time. It can be like astronomical growth like that can happen very quickly if you adopt a lot of these things that people are talking about this week. So another thing is increasing in customer retention, if that is one of the things in your industry, or if you want to, reach out to more customers via like B2B or international plans, get more customers under your breath.
Right. Yeah. I can imagine there's a lot to think about as a merchant. So yeah, I can see how they would maybe fit into different categories there in evaluating that next step. Cool. Okay. And so if I'm a merchant, I'm ready to make the change, I'm moving to Shopify Plus. What happens after I upgrade? Is there any sort of migration necessary or downtime needed?
It's funny you ask. I get asked this on every single call that I have because, having worked in software for quite a few years, it going and moving up can be a little bit daunting. You might have these expectations where, oh, is it going to be like 60 days, 100 days? No, if you're already on Shopify, there's no migration or downtime. Your information's already in there. It's just a flip of the switch on our back end. It takes about 24 to 48 hours. And when what that looks like on your end is you'll get a welcome email from my team when you're live. That'll prompt you to register for a webinar called Jumpstart with our Merchant Success Manager team.
Awesome. That sounds so seamless. So that's really great to hear as well. What are some of the first things that a merchant should look in doing when they upgrade to Shopify Plus?
Yeah. So right when you get upgraded, like I said, we send you an email prompting you to register for the webinar. This merchant success team is your next go-to person. So I would meet up with one of those people to discuss your goals on Plus just a little bit further than what you discussed with my team. They work with what's called a merchant growth model. It's a strategic framework that allows them to, I would say, like, understand the complexity of your business and kind of guide a deeper discovery process. And you can kind of go to them with anything, but what the 6 key areas are is customer acquisition, conversion, retention, brand strategy, tech solutions, and business operations. What you would get access to is consultations, best practices, industry knowledge, and plus priority support and on-demand courses through them.
Awesome. Yeah, and I know that our agency partners also work very closely with the merchant success team. So if any merchants are working with an agency as well, this is a great point person that they'll have as a resource just to really extend the platform and make sure that you're getting like the most out of it. So that sounds great. That sounds like a lot of really good value. So that's awesome. Okay, so one question that I know that comes up with your team, and we on the agency side see as well. Do merchants need a developer to use Plus?
I get this question pretty often when people do not have developers. The short answer is no, they do not need a developer. However, the reason being is because the certain automation tools that we have and the admin is out of the box, easy to use. However, if you want to use some more of the advanced customization tools like scripts, like I talked about earlier with the Ruby coding, and you want to get a little bit more into the nitty gritty with those, or even the checkout.liquid theme for theme templates, that does require some coding knowledge for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And I know that we do have a wide variety of Shopify Plus partners and agencies who can help work with merchants, Hawk Media being one of them, especially on the marketing side. If you really want to optimize in different areas, we do have a really great ecosystem that can help support merchants if they need it. And I think that that's something that is really important to highlight too as a value in coming to Plus, our hand-selected group of partners that we have to refer to merchants. So that's awesome. Okay, so kind of looking at the flip side of things, what do most people not know about Plus, or what would be kind of the biggest surprise in upgrading that you've come across so far?
The product is changing all the time. We're always making improvements and adding things, but one of the things that people don't know about at all really is that gift card adjustment API that came out a little while ago, and it's a nice surprise for a lot of people. And then the second thing that I can elaborate on is the Facebook community. It's a whole bunch of merchants that are on Plus. They can brainstorm, share ideas, show what's working for them, recommend apps, recommend partners. It's just a great community to be a part of and gain some industry best practices and knowledge from. I know I'm part
Amazing.
of it.
Yeah, no, definitely. I know I always see there's tons of conversations going on in there, and it's a really great way to kind of, share best practices with fellow merchants. So that is an amazing resource for sure. Okay, so kind of more talking about some different points that a merchant might experience in just having their business online. Can you talk a little bit more about something along the lines of hitting the economic nexus threshold and what that would mean for a merchant and moving to Plus?
Right. I have this conversation quite a bit with merchants because they typically know that Shopify Plus offers an integration with Avalara. And what this is called Avatax. What happens for merchants to need something like that is they hit this economic nexus threshold where they're making a lot of sales volume and they sell into a bunch of different states and they sell a bunch of different products that require different taxations, for lack of better terminology. So what Avatax offers is that seamless connection and coding that's injected into that checkout.liquid file. What this looks like on your end would be the automation of the calculation and tax filing process in real time for like 12,000 plus tax jurisdictions. And
wow,
the taxes are based on tax registration and location.
Okay, cool. And would this be something that a merchant receives in moving to Plus, or is there an additional fee attached to it?
So there is additional fee attached to it. Great point. I forgot to add. So it is an extra $250 a month. It's optional since it is a service provided by Avalara.
Amazing. Yeah. And that is another really great value of the platform, is having these larger scale relationships and partnerships with some of our technology partners to extend the platform for merchants based on what they're looking for. So that is another great value add that I think we all see. All right. So moving on to kind of a personal opinion piece, what are you most looking forward to in terms of Shopify's future with products or vision, kind of now and beyond?
Yeah. So with that, like number one need for moving up to Shopify Plus that I see being growth, I think the initiative that I'm most excited about is Shopify Markets. This is across all Shopify. If you're currently on Shopify, you'll have access to this once it's live. But there are differences in features once you move on to the advanced platform and also Plus. In a nutshell, what Shopify Markets is going to be is allowing you to expand globally very easily, increase your sales through like custom buying experiences, and scale through the automations that come with it. One of the statistics that kind of stuck out to me when I joined Shopify was, and I mean, it wasn't really a shocker, 90% of people prefer to buy in their own currency. 90% is a lot. So if you're trying to sell into Europe, Canada, anywhere like that, it's a great thing to look into, just to change the currency to make it a little bit more of a seamless process for your customers.
Yeah, definitely. Especially with like the globalization of commerce, I think that this is something that a lot of merchants can benefit from, and yeah, definitely see the value there. So thanks for commenting on that. We do have a few questions from the audience, so I will kind of pass them along to you, and hopefully we can talk a little bit about them. If anyone else does have questions, feel free to add them to the chat, and I'll have a look at them to pass along to Jenica. So one of the questions we received is, will you address a bit about pre-ordering or reservations on Shopify Plus, or how does that look in terms of the plan?
Can you repeat that? Reordering?
Oh, pre-ordering and reservations. Okay. Yeah.
Pre-ordering and reservations. I'm happy to set up a call, honestly, because it can get a little bit technical. Not to push that one off. That is a great question. I don't get it too often, so I would happy to dive deeper into that on a call. If you would like to set one up, happy to do that.
Great. Yeah. And at the end, we will specify where anyone can go if they'd like to get in touch with our team. So we'll kind of mention that at the end. So whoever asked that, stay tuned for that. And then I know you kind of mentioned migration and moving to Shopify Plus timelines earlier, but how long does a typical migration take? I'm going to assume in the context of upgrading, or you can comment on migration timelines in general if you know.
So would this be, with migration, that typically is a word thrown around in the tech community when you're moving from one platform, say like a Magento or BigCommerce, over to Shopify Plus. And just from my experience working in the tech space, if you're not on Shopify Plus, a lot of times it depends on what team you're working with. If you have a third-party developer, if it's just your in-house team, and you have a lot of other things on your back to carry, that's what that can really depend on. But just for the sake of this discussion, if you're already on Shopify, if you're on the basic plan, the professional middle plan, just called Shopify, or the advanced plan, your information's already in Shopify. It takes about 24 to 48 hours to make the switch.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for that. And I'm not sure if you'll know this one, but our next question that we got. So what have you been seeing with the rise of digital currencies in e-commerce, and how would that affect my Shopify business?
Ooh, interesting. Digital currencies, first thing I think of is like Dogecoin, Bitcoin. Yeah. Is that along the right line?
I'm going to assume that that's what they mean. Yeah.
Interesting. I don't know. Honestly, that's a great question. It is a pretty hot topic. I wonder if the Shop Pay app will do anything with that, because it is an increasingly used currency. So that's a great question. I kind of want to learn a bit about it.
Yeah, I will also add that a lot of our partners are really great at kind of helping merchants guide this section of their business and provide some consultancy around it. So just to talk a little bit more about our agency ecosystem, we have some thought leaders in this space. So if any merchant is looking to kind of learn more about that in a deeper dive, and how they can actually like use that with Shopify, that's actually one way that they could go about it. Okay, so another question that we got, what's your favorite Shopify plugin that you've seen lately? And I'm going to assume that in this case, they mean an app.
Okay. Honestly, there are a lot, and it really depends on what you're looking to do. I know that Shopify Plus has specific like Plus Atmosphere app partners. Recharge and Rebuy are ones that I see a lot, because when people are looking to do bundling, upsells, subscriptions, but it really depends on what you're looking to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, our app ecosystem is super robust. So I feel like there's something for all of your business needs in there. So yeah, it's definitely hard to pick a favorite. Okay, so one of the next questions we got, are expedited shipping cost options populated with Shopify Plus?
Shipping? Sorry, could you repeat that?
Yeah, so are expedited shipping cost options populated with Shopify Plus? Maybe
yes.
Like, are they offering them? Yeah.
So this is something that you can utilize Shopify scripts for. The 3 categories, Shopify scripts, shipping is one of them. So you can tailor what kind of verbiage you want to have in your checkout utilizing that tool.
Okay, awesome. And another one that maybe you'll know. So what is Shopify Plus doing in terms of page speed and accessibility in the new 2.0?
In the new 2.0. Okay, that's a good question. So
that's a hard one.
I know. I can't speak to the technology side too much on it. However, our merchant success team is actually really good at this with consulting different ways to increase your speed. Because what I'm noticing as a trend is site speed can be based on like a few different things. If you have too many apps, like just deleting apps that you don't use, that can increase your site speed. There are a multitude of other ways to do it. So I would just chat with our merchant success team and see if they can look at your back end and how you can specifically improve it.
Yeah, for sure. Great point. Okay, so we do have some rapid fire questions just for fun. Again, if there are more questions, I'll keep an eye on the chat for that after, but just to kind of kick it off, who is your favorite merchant?
Ooh, that's a good one. So I live in Austin, Texas, and I went into Tacovas on South Congress. And if you've never been into a Tacovas, you should go, because their hospitality is, I haven't experienced hospitality matched to theirs. They sell leather goods, mostly boots.
Amazing. Yeah, I've definitely heard of them, but I haven't been in, so I'll have to take a look.
It smells so good. So who's your favorite Shopify retail merchant?
Okay, this one's really hard because we have so many amazing shops, especially being based in LA. I always love coming across our POS in the wild. But I would have to say Alo Yoga. I'm a really big fan of their product, and I find it's great to go in there and kind of try things on and then purchase from them. So yeah, Alo Yoga is my answer there.
Nice. I haven't bought anything from them yet.
Yeah, it's easy to get addicted. So what's the last item or product you ordered online?
Oh goodness. I order a lot online because the nearest grocery store, or honestly any kind of store from my house, is about 20 minutes. I live outside of Austin. So for those tuning in from Austin, I don't live in the city. So I have a wine subscription. It's from Wink, and I believe they're a Shopify customer because I got notified that it got delivered on my shop app, and it got delivered like an hour ago. So that was the last thing.
Wine is a useful subscription. I subscribe to wine as well.
Oh yeah. Oh, who is one of your like e-commerce celebrities who you'd most like to meet? I know there's actually a few speaking this week, but who's your favorite?
Yeah, I have to say Jessica Alba. I think that she's created a really strong brand. And in terms of just like finding a good need in the market, I think that she just seems really smart and down to earth. So yeah, I would love to meet her.
I love following her on Instagram. She like posts some hilarious stuff. She's like dancing around, just having a great time.
Yeah, exactly. She's super relatable, I find.
Mhm.
Okay, and what's your favorite part about your job?
Oof. I like this is my favorite job I've ever had. And reason being because I'm talking to entrepreneurs, business owners, and partners all day long who have vastly different companies. I love to hear their story, where they're at in their business, like what started them. I've actually created a few friendships in this job with merchants that I've talked to. But outside of that, collaborating with my internal team is a lot of fun because our goal at the end of the day is to make sure that it's a right fit. We're not going to upgrade you to Plus if it doesn't make sense. And my team is very educated on, how does it make sense? How can we justify it?
Definitely. Yeah, I can confirm that that is the case. I love working with you and your team. So that's great. Yeah.
What is your favorite app?
I have to say Shop. You just mentioned it as well with your Wink subscription. I love seeing all of my deliveries in one place. I love being able to discover merchants that I like and follow via the marketplace. I just think it's great. It is truly my favorite app on my phone that I use.
I know it's a little dangerous for me. I'm not going to lie, because all of my favorite stores that I purchased from again and again, I didn't realize they were Shopify stores. But once I go on the Shop app, I'm like, oh boy,
There they
I have
are. I
everything I
know.
want to buy like right there in front of me.
Yeah,
And then the
it's
shipping updates, that's prime.
yes, I love
So
it. I
prime.
love it. It's my favorite. Okay, last question for you. What's your favorite e-commerce podcast?
So I have two actually, and you can find these on shopify.com/enterprise/e-commerce business podcast. I know that was a lot, but it's on our site if you look for
On our
podcasts.
blog, yeah.
So Brave Commerce is a really good one if I'm just looking to learn a little bit more about the space. And then if I want to hear something a little bit on the lighter side, like some more inspiring interviews, I would say would be like the Kara Golden Show or Kara Golden Show. That's a
Mhm.
good one too.
Amazing, thanks. Yeah, and we do have a really in-depth list for anyone who's curious about getting more into podcasts. We actually have a Shopify podcast that's linked in the blog on our website too. So I find that's really nice just for hearing about merchant stories or learning new things or anything like that if anyone is commuting now or back to work.
Mhm.
Okay, well, thank you. I think that wraps up our time. Jenica, thank you so much for taking the time to go through Plus and upgrading to Plus today. I hope that everyone learned some things. And Jenica, do you want to let us know if there's a way to get in touch with the team from here?
Yeah, absolutely. So you just go to shopify.com/plus/upgrade, and there's a little like let's talk in the upper right hand corner.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thanks, everyone.
guys.
Have a great day.